I would like to make a statement concerning guns in the light of the assassination of Kennedy. First of all, our position on guns and violence in general, on war in general, is one of being against war and being against violence. And this is not a changed position. If it seems in contradiction to some of my earlier statements, simply because people have not understood what I was saying in the first place. That I say that violence, war, and guns are things that the Black Panther Party would like to see gotten rid of. That we absolutely are against people killing each other and committing violence on each other. But also we recognize that we don't advocate that the oppressed people, that the victims leave themselves subject to the aggressions of the criminal. And these are the people who are forcing us to a state of subjugation and keeping us in a state of slavery. And this is the people all over the world. For instance, I'm sure the Vietnamese people would like very much for this government to give up its guns, because that would mean that the military would disarm itself and stop killing little Vietnamese children and women and destroying them. I think I stated earlier that the motto of the Panther is that we're advocates of the abolition of war. We do not want war, but war can only be abolished through war. And in order to get rid of the gun, we find it necessary to take up the gun. So the first thing to do is not to disarm the victim, but disarm the aggressor. Disarm the person who's first causing the violent incidents. The United States have been visiting violence upon the world, or causing violence upon the world for years, upon weak, oppressed people. And that we are against this, and we would like for this to be changed, and we are going to change it by any means necessary. So therefore, that in the final analysis, that we would like for total disarmament to exist, but first we would have to disarm the cause of the disturbance. And the cause of the disturbance is U.S. imperialism, and the violence the violence that is in this country is only a reflection of the violent nature of the country in the first place. You don't expect to go to someone else's home and disturb things and act violently and expect for your home to stay in a state of peace and tranquility. The first thing you have to do is stop your actions against other people, and then violence will stop. But I think this country is so hung up on violence and ruled by force, the club, and the gun, until it will be very difficult for them to even pass legislation to get rid of guns. And if they do pass legislation to get rid of guns, that the Black Panther Party is going to keep an eye on who maintains his guns. If they want to disarm people, I would say first start disarming the vicious police force that occupy our communities throughout the country, where we die, we're brutalized each day, and we're shot down in the street. Our little kids are shot down in the street by criminals with guns under the disguise, going under the facade of peace officers. So in the final analysis, that we stand for total disarmament, and this is not to exclude anyone. If you're going to disarm, then disarm the police. Start with the police and end up with the military. And then that we would advocate that all other countries disarm itself, and violence will stop. Because then the people will have more of a chance of a redress of grievance, because the racists and the imperialists will not be protected by his guns. That is the only thing that protects them, is guns. So the violence that America inflicts throughout the world is now coming home to roost, as Malcolm said before his death. That that when Kennedy's brother was killed, he made the statement that the chickens have come home to roost. And I think that this is an appropriate statement at this time, that the chickens have come home to roost.